Great to have you back on our screens in Criminal Record as cop Daniel Hegarty. I mean, it is an incredible watch, and right from the start, he has you hooked in.
I was lucky because I'm married to the executive producer, and so she was developing this idea already before I became involved, and I suggested to her that it might be a good idea if I played.
How did that go? Because she can't really say no, can she? Or well, she could, I guess.
Well, she could, yeah, she definitely could. But it was quite a challenge because a lot of the parts I've played before have been quite out there in the sense that they speak their mind or always trying to make a connection with the audience. He is hidden, he's veiled. So that was quite tough for me.
Your relationship with Cush Jumbo, I mean, she's incredible on screen, isn't she? Yeah. And I think you did some of the scenes without rehearsal, was that right?
That's right. We didn't sort of come to a decision to do that. We just sort of fell into doing it that way. We wanted to keep it fresh, and our scenes were quite long and quite antagonistic.
Yeah.
And so we sort of decided just not to, we would just do them. So often what you see is me responding to what she's doing for the first time. I mean, we were always very faithful to the script.
Yeah. Tell me about growing up in North Glasgow and how you discovered a love of acting and art.
I came originally from Capaldi Road in Springburn, and then we got grand and moved to Bishopbriggs.
Where I'm from, Peter.
Are you from Bishopbriggs? Yes. Of course. I used to have a little shoebox in which I made a television studio.
Wow.
And the television studio was based on Ready, Steady, Go, but they'd have like the Beatles on that or the road. And I made little Beatles. I drew little Beatles. We didn't know anybody really who was in the business, although my uncle, who I'm named after, Peter Capaldi, was a singer in during the war. And there's some very old records of him on the BBC being introduced. And they knew he was an ice cream man. So this very pucker voice says, "Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Glasgow, he's an ice cream man. Stop him and try one. It's Peter Capaldi." And of course they mispronounced it as they always do.
Very familiar with the Fort Theatre in Bishopbriggs.
Yeah, of course. There was a local drama group, so we went to that, and it was great, and they were lovely.
And from there you went to art school.
Yeah.
Why did you decide on art school over drama school?
Because I got turned down from drama school. It broke my heart. He said, you know, to audition, you had to do a modern piece and a classical piece. Who would I know who would take me through any bits of Shakespeare?
Yeah.
I hadn't even seen any Shakespeare, so it was all doomed. But luckily, I had a very good art teacher at school, Mr. Boyle. It was too late to get a folio accepted. He said, well, I'll give them a ring. And obviously drawing the wee studio and the Beatles and all that stuff had added up to something.
Yeah.
And I got admitted. And it was the best thing that happened to me, really, because that kind of creative kind of cauldron where you really have a go at everything was the right place for me to be.
I was reading about when you auditioned for The Thick of It, and apparently you were in a foul mood that day because you had just had an awful audition before that, was that right?
Earlier in the day I had to go to an audition at Television Centre for a sitcom to play a part, 2 scenes. You know, the part was basically, you know, a Scottish man of my age who looks exactly like me, you know, and speaks like me. But I looked up in the room and the room was packed with people, and I'd worked with them all. I just got fed up, scunnered with the whole acting thing. So by the time I went to meet Armando, who is a wonder and a delight, I was in a bad mood. But he recognised that, I think, and was quick to use it.
And Malcolm Tucker was born.
Yeah.
From one cult hero to another. One of the most famous characters in the world, the 12th Doctor.
You know, I was always a great fan of Doctor Who from when I was that little kid in the tenement. I had little Daleks that I made as well. I was steeped in that show as a kid. I didn't ever think I'd be Doctor Who, especially not because they were all so handsome and young and handsome. So Stephen Moffat, who's from Paisley, but we'll let him off for that. He was running the show, and he just got in touch and said, "How would you feel about being Doctor Who?" So I went to see him and did a bit. He'd written a great script, great regeneration scene, which I did for him. But I thought it was terrible. I thought it didn't work. But by the time I got home, they decided it did work.
When you look back on your career, Is there a role you still wish you'd done or that you would still like to do?
No, I just feel very lucky that I've had the chance to do these and that I'm still here doing it. I learnt sort of fairly early on that it was a bad idea to have a plan, because it was out of my control. You know, young actors ask me for advice, which always makes me nervous because I don't really know what to say to them other than, you know, learn your lines, which is a key thing, which is basically what you're paid for, and keep showing up. Keep trying, you know, even if you don't get that job, you don't get the next job, something will happen. Just keep believing in yourself and in your possibilities.